Hello everybody and welcome to another patch notes video. I'm your host today, Rept, and we will be looking at the new character cards for today. There's quite a lot of them, so let's get right into it. And the first one is Layla. She's a cryo sword from Sumeru. Her normal attack is the usual, deals 2 damage, and her skill will create a curtain of slumber shield and a shooting star. The Curtain of Slumber will grant 2 shield points to defend your active character, and the Shooting Star says that after your character uses a skill, you will accumulate 1 Night Star. If you have at least 4 Night Stars, you will consume them and deal 1 cryo damage. Her burst deals 3 cryo damage and summons a Celestial Dream Sphere. Celestial Dream Sphere will deal 1 cryo damage in the end phase, and if there is a Shooting Star in play, it will gain a Night Star. This has 2 usages. Layla's talent is Light's Remit. Will immediately use her skill, and when she's on field, every time the shooting star deals damage, you will draw 1 card. Layla sounds okay on paper, not anything crazy. I am not sure if we will see much play of her, but she's different. Now, probably my favorite character of the patch is coming up, Yelan. Normal attack will deal 2 physical damage, her skill will deal 3 hydro damage, and you will gain 2 breakthrough stacks. Breakthrough is a state that starts with 1 stack. When you're attached, gain a stack. Breakthrough is a state that starts with 1 stack, and when you reattach it, you simply add a stack onto it. It can have a maximum of 3 stacks. Her skill deals 3 hydro damage, and she will gain 2 breakthrough stacks. Let's talk about her passive. When the battle begins, she will already have the breakthrough status on her. This state will begin with 1 stack, and when reattached, you will gain another stack. Also, it can have a maximum of 3 stacks. And in the end phase, she gains another breakthrough staff. So what does it exactly do? When the character that breakthrough is attached to using the normal attack, if you have at least 2 stacks, you will consume 2 stacks, and convert physical damage to hydro damage, and draw a card. Which sounds pretty good. I think they really nailed Yelan's passive into the game here. Also, her burst. You will deal 1 hydro damage and create 1 exquisite throw. The exquisite throw says that after your character uses a normal attack, you will deal 2 hydro damage. We have the old Sync2 burst back. Unfortunately, this is a 3 energy cost like Sync2, so we'll see how it goes. But for OTK decks, this is beautiful. Her talent is Third Control. She will immediately use her skill, and in the roll phase, if Yelan has this card equipped is on your field, 1 elemental dice will be rolled into Omni Element for each elemental type in your party. Of course, max of 3 since you can only have 3 characters in your party. This means if you're running a rainbow deck, this guarantees 3 Omni dice, but I still think if you're in like double Hydro or Yelan with double Pyro or double Electro or whatever you run her, this is still great, guaranteeing 2 Omni Element, and the talent does not cost more than her skill. Still 3 cost. Amazing. Our next character is another bow character, Lyney. First normal attack, the one that costs 1 pyro and 2 unaligned dice, goes to physical damage. Then he has another normal attack that costs 3 pyro dice. This one will deal 2 pyro damage and summon a green Malkin hat, and you will gain a stack of prop surplus. Then, if this character has at least 6 HP, 1 piercing damage to himself. Green Malkin hat says that in the end phase you will deal 1 pyro damage, it can stack with a maximum of 2 stacks and starts with 1 usage. Meanwhile, Prop Surplus can go up to a maximum of 3 stacks, and when this character uses Bewildering Lights, you will deal +1 damage for each Prop Surplus stack, and after the skill is finalized, you'll consume all Prop Surplus stacks and heal 1 HP for the Lyney per stack. What is Bewildering Lights? It's his skill. It's just a normal deals 3 pyro damage, but it can be greatly enhanced with Prop Surplus. And his burst also helps with that. When he casts his burst, he will deal 3 pyro damage and summon a green Malkin hat and add a stack of Prop Surplus. Overall, he just buffs himself. He will deal damage, but he can heal back up with Prop Surplus, and we're about to see with his talent, he will deal even more damage. His talent is Conclusive Ovation. He will immediately use his normal attack that costs 3 power dice, and when he's on the field and has the card equipped, and the damage dealt by Lyney and summon green Malkin hat will be increased by 2 for characters that are affected by Pyro. This only works once per round, but it is still a free +2 damage for nothing Honestly, this talent is great. If you run a Lyney and maybe Lynette, as we're about to get right into her, you can probably run Lyney with an emo, like either double an emo Lyney or double Pyro with an emo, where you run the Lyney and just try to put Pyro on everybody and use Lyney's talent, just do a lot of damage. It could potentially work. And you know who can swirl? Lyney's sister, Lynette. Her normal attack will deal 2 physical damage, and her skill will deal 3 anemo damage. Also, first time the skill is used in a round, you will heal the character for 2 HP if they have less than 8 HP. And the first time the skill is used in a round, you will heal Lynette for 2 HP if she has less than 8 HP. But also, Overawing Assault will be applied to Lynette. What is Overawing Assault? In the end phase, if Lynette has 6 or more HP, she will take 2 piercing damage. This has the duration of only 1 round. This will take effect only in the round where you use your skill and heal. If you have 6 or more. Lynette's burst deals 2 anemo damage and summons 1 Boglecat box. The Boglecat box will deal 1 anemo damage in the end phase and has 2 usages. Also, when your active character takes damage, it will decrease that damage by 1. This can be applied only once per round. And when your character takes Cryo, Hydro, Pyro, or Electro damage, you will change the elemental type of this summon to that element. So let's say the enemy is playing Yelan, they hit you with Hydro, now your Boglecat box will deal Hydro damage instead of an Ebo. Which is interesting, it doesn't absorb the element it swirls, it will absorb the element you take damage with. I think it's pretty fun. Lynette's talent is a Cold Blade like Shadow. She will immediately use her skill, and after Lynette uses her skill for second time the round, you will deal +2 damage and force your opponent to switch their previous character. Another +2 damage. I'm loving the talents this patch, honestly, and we're about to get into some other great talents as well. I think they're nailing it. It doesn't cost any additional dice. It is just +2 damage and a forced switch into a character that will have that same element you swirled onto them. I think this is great for a talent that doesn't cost any other. I think this is great for a talent that doesn't cost like any additional dice. You just have to use her skill twice in a round, which could be tricky, but you can probably make it work. Personally, I like it. Our next character up is Gorou. Wow, surely he will buff Geo, right? Geo will be great in the game now with Gorou. His normal attack will deal 2 physical damage. His skill deals 2 Geo damage and creates a General's War banner. The General's War banner says that your characters will deal an additional Geo damage. It has a duration of 2 rounds, and you can stack it up for up to 3 rounds. His burst will deal 2 Geo damage and create a General's War banner, and summon a General's Glory. General Glory will deal 1 damage in the end phase, and if your party has 2 Geo characters, it will create 1 crystal, and this has up to 2 uses. His talent is Rushing Hound, Swift as the Wind. Gorou will immediately use his skill, and while he's on the field, and then if your character deals Geo damage, if General's War banner is in play, you will draw 1 card. It's an okay talent, it's a decent enough talent for a talent that doesn't cost any additional dice, and Gorou is indeed buffing lots of Geo. This could potentially bring Ito back. I hope not. Who knows? Maybe it will just buff Noelle even more. This looks like a Sara situation to me, but the problem is Geo doesn't have good reactions. I don't think Gorou is gonna have any synergy like Sara has with Mona, for example. I think he's gonna struggle a bit, but we're gonna see. Now, we have a fan favorite. Alhaitham. Normal attack deals 2 physical damage, and his skill will deal 2 thunder damage, and Alhaitham will gain Chisel Light Mirror. The Chisel Light Mirror will convert your physical damage dealt to thunder damage, and after he performs a normal attack, he will deal a thunder damage if it was a charge attack. Also, if it was a charge attack, he will increase the duration rounds of Chisel Light Mirror by 1. Upon gaining it, you will only have 2 duration rounds, but it can stack for a maximum of 3 rounds. His burst will deal 4 thunder damage and consume the Chisel Light Mirror with a damage bonus based on Chisel Light Mirror's duration round. If Chisel Light Mirror duration rounds consumed was 0, 1, or 2, then you will apply Chisel Light Mirror again with a duration rounds of 3, 2, 1, depending on how many were consumed. For example, if you didn't have Chisel Light Mirror, if it was at 0 duration rounds, then you will gain a Chisel Light Mirror with 3 rounds of duration while using his burst. For example, if you didn't have Chisel Light Mirror up, which means you had 0 duration rounds on it. Then, if you used his burst, you would have gained a Chisel Light Mirror with 3 duration rounds. His talent is Structuration. He will immediately use his burst, and if the character consumes a Chisel Light Mirror with at least 1 duration, then you will always attach a Chisel Light Mirror with 3 duration rounds. Also, you will draw a card. So basically, it is a burst that allows Alhaitham to draw a card and to always have his Chisel Light Mirror up. The moment you use this, if you are still on Alhaitham, build up his burst again. Since it has 3 duration rounds, it is likely you can burst again in 2 rounds, which means you can keep up Chisel Light Mirror constantly. Now, are you ready? One and only. Prophecy has been fulfilled. La Signora is playable, and I think she's pretty good. Her normal attack will deal 1 cryo damage, and her skill will deal 2 cryo damage, and apply Sheer Cold enemy. Sheer Cold will deal 1 cryo damage against the character that's dashed to. This only has 1 usage. Also, the skill says that when the attached character has Blazing Heat, you will remove this effect. We're gonna see in a bit what that means as we get into her other state. Her burst deals 4 cryo damage and heals her for 2 HP. Then, it will remove the Ice-Sealed Crimson Witch of Embers that she has from her passive, and permanently switch her to Crimson Witch of Embers state. Her passive says that when the battle begins, she gains Ice-Sealed Crimson Witch of Embers. When the action phase begins, if Signora has 4 less HP, she will remove Ice-Sealed Crimson Witch of Embers, but it will also be removed when she would be defeated. But when that happens, she will survive with 1 HP from either using Burst or the other effects from her passive. She will transform into the Crimson Witch of Embers. Her normal attack deals 1 pyro damage, and then the target character will receive Blazing Heat. It is basically the same thing, earlier one, but with pyro instead. Then her burst here will deal 6 pyro damage. Pretty good damage for a 3-2, but you have to transform in order to get here. Even then, I think this is pretty fun. Her talent, Pain for Pain. She will immediately use her skill, and it depends. Skill will depend on La Signora's state, it doesn't matter, since the talent costs 3 of the same dice, but it doesn't have to be 3 cryo or 3 pyro. It could be 3 hydro, 2 electro, does not. When entering play, you will generate 3 elemental dice of the same type as La Signora. When it takes at least 3 damage, you will negate 1 damage and then apply Sheer Cold or Blazing Heat to the opposing active character based on her state. I think the talent is fun, since you're not restricted to 3 cryo or 3 pyro. Is it good? Maybe. We'll see. I think it could work just because it isn't restricted to the same element as Signora is. And I like it. Now we have another pyro character. The character that into Eremite tag. The Eremite Scorching Loremaster. Her normal attack deals 1 pyro damage, and her skill deals 3 pyro damage. The burst will deal 2 pyro damage and summon a Spirit of Omen Pyro Scorpion. The Spirit of Omen Pyro Scorpion has 2 usages, and in the end phase, it will deal 1 pyro damage. But when entering play, action phase starts. You will equip Pyro Scorpion Guard instance to your Eremite Scorching Loremaster. When Spirit of Omen Pyro Scorpion is in play, the character will take 1 less damage once per round. Also, she has a passive. After she takes damage, if she has 7 or less HP, she gains up an energy. It is a once per match, but it is just free energy, which I think it's good, considering most skills will deal around 3 damage, just like elemental skills. I think it's a pretty nice effect. She will immediately use her skill, Spirit of Omen's Awakening Pyro Scorpion. Then, the Spirit of Omen Pyro Scorpion created by her will deal +1 damage in rounds where the Eremite Scorching Loremaster has used either a normal attack or an elemental skill. Also, the damage reduction effect can be triggered twice per round now. I think it's a pretty good talent. I have said this a lot in this video, but I believe all talents are good, and I don't think this is an exception. It's free damage, it is free damage reduction, for no additional cost. I like it. Time to get into monsters. Thunder Manifestation. The normal attack will deal 1 electro damage, and the skill will deal 3 electro damage to the opposing character affected by Lightning Rod. If there are no characters that have Lightning Rod on them, you will instead deal damage to the active character. What is Lightning Rod? Lightning Rod says that damage received by the attached character from Thunder Manifestation or its summons is increased by 1, and only one of this status can exist on the field at once, which means you cannot apply Lightning Rod to multiple enemy characters. The burst will deal 2 electro damage and summon a Thundering Shackles. The Thundering Shackles will deal 3 electro damage to the opposing character affected by a Lightning Rod in the end phase. If no opposing characters have Lightning Rod attached, you will instead deal the damage to the opposing active character. Thunder Manifestation's passive skill says when the battle begins, you'll create a Lightning Strike Probe on the opponent's side of the field. Lightning Strike Probe will attach Lightning Rod to the opposing active character after it uses a skill. I believe this is a quite interesting mechanic. This will be one of the more fun cards to play around, as you're gonna have to think about your skills. Thunder Manifestation's talent is Grieving Echo. When opponents with Lightning Rod attached take damage, while Thunder Manifestation is in play, you'll draw 1 card. This effect only happens once per round. I think it is gonna see play, and I think it will catch a lot of people off guard because of the fact that you have to skill on specific characters in order to avoid the damage. I think I'm gonna cook with this. Next up, we have another boss, Dvalin. The Anemo Dragon is here. His normal attack deals 2 physical damage. His 3-cost skill will deal 2 Anemo damage, and he will apply Total Collapse to the enemy character. Characters affected by Total Collapse will take an additional 2 damage by physical or Anemo damage. Dvalin's 5-cost skill will deal 2 Anemo damage, and then separately perform Prepare skill for Perpetual Cleansing and Ultimate Cleansing, similar enough to the cube. Perpetual Cleansing will deal 1 Anemo damage to the next opposing character on standby, and then you will Prepare skill for Ultimate Cleansing. Of course, if there's no other characters on standby, you will deal damage to the active character instead. And then Ultimate Cleansing will deal 2 Anemo damage to the previous opposing character on standby. Of course, once again, if there are no opposing characters on standby, you will deal damage to the active character instead. Balance Burst will deal 5 Anemo damage and apply Total Collapse to all opposing standby characters. Oh my god, that is so good. So, in my humble opinion, Dvalin could potentially be very good. I think Dvalin has a very high ceiling as far as what he can do, but I can also see him being potentially very bad. What I'm expecting from Dvalin is games where he'll be either very bad or he'll just solo the entire enemy team. But let's just look at his talent. Oh my god, I like him so much. Dvalin's talent is Rending Vortex. He will immediately use his 3-cost skill, and when Dvalin, who has the card equipped, is on the field, when Total Collapse is removed, you will apply Total Collapse to the next opposing character. It is a once per round, so let's say you apply Total Collapse with your burst. After it ends on everyone else, it's not gonna apply again. I'm not sure who it is gonna apply to. I suppose the Total Collapse will go away from the active character they have first, so then it will apply to the next character after the enemy active character. But I think Dvalin is good. I can't wait to try him out myself. Let's look at our last new character card from this patch. Another weekly boss, Azdaha. Normal attack will deal 2 physical damage, and his skill will deal 3 geo damage. If a crystallized reaction occurs, then this character will perform Elemental Absorption. If during the usage of the skill the character hasn't absorbed any element's power yet, then Stone Facets Elemental Crystallization will be attached. First off, Elemental Absorption says that Azdaha can absorb the power of either Cryo, Hydro, Pyro, or Electro. I note only one element can be absorbed at any one time. When Azdaha has absorbed any of the above elements, based off the type of the element absorbed, he will gain a skill between Frostbite Wave, Torrential Rebuke, Blazing Rebuke, and Thunderstorm Wave. This will replace his current geo damaging skill. Then Stone Facets Elemental Crystallization says that after he takes Cryo, Hydro, Pyro, or Electro damage, if Azdaha has currently not absorbed the power of that element, he will remove this effect and then perform Elemental Absorption. Azdaha's Burst deals 4 geo damage, and he will deal an additional damage for each element previously absorbed. So it is potentially an 8 damage burst if you absorb every element, which is pretty high for a 3/2 cost burst. And from reading him, I don't think it's gonna be so hard to absorb elements. It might just depend on luck if there are actually 4 different elements, because Azdaha is Geo. You're gonna need to either run Rainbow or hope the opponent is running Rainbow for him to absorb all 4 elements, and you're gonna have to hope they're different. So we'll see what happens. So let's quickly look at what his skills do. As we have right here, there's 4 different Azdahas. Each skill will just deal either Cryo, Hydro, Pyro, or Electro damage, and he will gain Stone Facets, Elemental Crystallization. It is the same effect for each. Azdaha's talent is Lunar Cycles Unending. He will attach Stone Facets, Elemental Crystallization, and then he will create 1 Elemental Die for each Elemental Die your characters have. So if you are running Rainbow, you will create 3 Elemental Die, which isn't bad. Which is pretty okay considering talent cost 2. It's still an okay talent, even if you have only 2 element types, so like either double Geo Azdaha or like double Cryo or whatever you're running with him. It is still gonna create 2 elemental die, which means the talent's gonna pay for itself, and you'll just simply apply some facets again to him. In conclusion, I think every single card is good in this patch. But in conclusion, I think every single character card is good in this patch, and I cannot wait to try each of them out. Holy, there's so many fun team builds I can think about, and I cannot wait to see what everyone says. That being said, if you would like to also talk about the new character cards, you can join us over at discord.gg/GITCG, and thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed our patch notes video. This was Rep, and I'll see you again another time. Bye bye.